So I guess do a little talking about my ex. She's probably a big catalyst for me going red pill. Two exes really. The first one was they're both actually very similar. Both sluts. Both sluts that I ended up catching feelings for. Learning the hard way not to linger and spend too much time with a girl who's doesn't have much apparent value. But I was younger, in the sense that it was about 7 years ago when I met my first ex that fucked me over. And then I met that same girl. Well, actually, I met the second one before I met the first one. Met her in 2011. She was a slut. She gave me a blowjob the first day I met her on a trail. And we went hiking, and she gave me a blowjob, and definitely a bad start to a relationship. There was red flags galore, with both girls. But the first one fucked me over because she lied. I was playing this bad boy game, and that's the best game there is. The bad boy game. And I was playing the bad boy game with the first one was named Julie, and the second one was named Jesse. Okay, so I'll just clarify that so I don't get them confused and mixed up. So I met Julie in 2011. We were just having sex. She was down to fuck. She was down for anything sexually. It was a huge red flag. And we had fun. She was a fun girl. She was a nice girl. She was nice. Jessie was a mean girl. But Julie was just a fuck thing for a summer, for a couple months. And then she went back to college in a different state. Then I met Jessie probably a couple months after that, through a mutual friend. And she was kind of a mean girl, kind of a cool girl, whatever. She smoked a lot of weed and stuff. She actually got me into weed. But so I met her. Of course, with both girls, sex was the first and the last thing with them, really. There was no real relationship there outside of sex, right? So essentially what happened with Jessie was I was playing a bad boy game, and they both kind of wanted to date me. They both wanted me. And this is what these girls do. When you don't want them, when you're an alpha, when you're a bad boy, you're a player, they want to lock you down, right? Of course, when you get older, when you get my age, like I said, this was 7-8 years ago, when I was in my mid-20s, right? Or later 20s, I should say. When you're that age, they don't care as much about your money, how much money you make, what kind of job you have. Are you steady? Are you stable? Because they're not really thinking in terms of do I need a kid? Do I need, they're not really thinking that way quite yet. Almost, but not quite yet. And they're still attracted to men with money at that age. Don't get me wrong. Hypergamy runs, it starts probably when their periods start. So hypergamy is female nature, period. But it's just not as intense when they're in their early 20s. So these girls were in their early 20s, and I was playing the bad boy game. They both wanted me. But Julie went back to school, right? And she was just fun. She was a fun girl. She had a good, cute, bubbly personality. But she had to go back to school. Of course, like I said, we were just sexing it up the whole time until she went back to school. Then I met Jessie after she went back to school a couple months after that. And Jessie was a bad girl. Like, Jessie was a bad girl. Like, she was just smoking weed in her car, drinking, carrying on like she was, gonna be a drug dealer or some crazy shit. Not that bad. Of course, nowadays it does get that bad, but she wasn't that bad. But she was just a bad girl. She was just a slut who smoked weed and wanted to fuck. So, but she, like I said, I was a bad boy. She wanted me, and I was playing hard to get. My mom told me, if you want a girl, play hard to get. It's just like, it works like a charm. If you can run that game right, it works like a charm. So she was chasing me for like at least 6 months. We were dating, maybe even a year. And I just was playing hard to get. I was playing, it's push and pull. Push and pull is the best game, man. Give them 20%, pull 80%, and they'll chase, they'll bite, especially when they're young, man. And they're young and they don't know any better, and they don't have any like plans to find a guy who's got it going on or whatever. And they have no self like understanding. They don't know, like they don't even, if you're smart, or if you're, I wouldn't say smart, if you're lucky and you're smart enough to play the push and pull game, you can get these girls at a time when they're almost like innocent. Like they don't realize the power of their own pussy yet. And they're almost kind of pure in a way, that way, right? They're almost kind of pure because they kind of don't realize that, hey, I don't need to chase this guy. I don't need to chase any guy. I can get guys chasing me. Guys should be chasing me. And there's a period where they don't quite realize that yet. And you might be able to catch that period if you're lucky. So I caught that period with both these girls, and till the very end. But just because they're like that doesn't mean that, later on they're not going to figure it out, that guys want them. Just because they're like that doesn't mean that, they got good, they got good hearts, they're good quality. They're just kind of naive. That's all. So when she realized that, well, let me put it this way. Okay, so she chased me, and I didn't have feelings for her, and she knew I didn't have feelings for her. That's probably why she chased me so hard. Both girls is the same thing that happened. They both realized that I didn't like them. I was like, because they were a little, they're like 5s and 6s, kind of pretty in their own way, and like certain angles in their own light, but they're not that overtly hot, and that was their problem. Right, but still, sexy, nice asses, good tits, both of them, and great in bed, gave great head, my type as far as like brunette, full figured, not fat, but full, but just, thick kind of, and was what it was. The sex was great, and a lot of times when the sex is great, you can get a girl to chase after you. So they were chasing until some climaxes happened, and bing, bang, boom, Jessie, sensing that I was going to dump her. And I think I was. I mean, that's kind of just how you got to be. You got to be like on the edge. You got to be like, I like you. I could take you or leave you. I might dump you. If you have that kind of attitude, the girl will chase you and she'll do anything to please you. And I don't know why. I just had, back then I had a lot more swagger than I do today. And I was able to do that, and I was getting laid more, and so they wanted me. And bing, bang, boom, Jessie decides to trick me and say she's pregnant. And I'm like, oh fuck, like that's the only thing that's gonna stop me. That's my kryptonite at that point, because I was banging chicks left and right. And